My name is Jake Hassan, joined by Chris Nano and Kevin Lapka. It is April 21st, 1 week before the NFL draft of 2021. Once again, this is Bears Nation podcast, so we will be doing a mock draft today. There goes my mic. Okay, cool. We're good. We're fine. Anyway, I got a haircut. That's pretty cool. My girlfriend yelled at me, so that's why she didn't yell at me, but I did it because it needed to be done. She said I look poofy, so I also did kind of look like a Q-tip. So, regardless, we just so dumb. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, okay, mock draft. So we're going to be doing a mock draft. Three of us, we're going to go through, do round by round, and simulate what we're going to be in the war room. We're going to be our own little Bears Nation podcast war room, and we're going to, do a little commentary, go through the picks as if we were Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy. I guess mostly Ryan Pace, and we'll see what we see. We'll give some breakdowns. We're going to have some discourse. I'm sure there will be no arguments on who we want to pick, and I'm sure there will be no disagreements at all. I cannot see I don't see a possible scenario in which we disagree on who should be picked at what spot. No chance. That never happens. Not this show. Not us. Not ever. Anyway, Justin, are we ready to do this? Do you need more time? I don't know. But anyway, I'm just going to keep riffing then. How are you guys? No, I'm kidding. No, this is Bears Nation podcast. Wednesday, February 21st, 2021. 1 week out from the NFL draft, as I said. Doing a mock as soon as we're ready. And I'm sure Kevin's going to be super annoying about taking all Ohio State players. So it'll be awesome. It'll be really, really cool.
I actually don't love the Ohio State class, from being honest. We'll get into that.
Wow.
But I don't love it, so.
Are you allowed to say that?
I'm objective.
Allowed to say that?
I'm objective. And here
noted objective guy. Noted objective guy, Kevin Lapka.
So, Jake, real quick, for the listeners who are listening to this as a podcast, right now we're doing the show live on Twitch, and we're observing a live draft network screen. We're going through this mock live, okay? So, just for disclaimer for those listening. So, right now, we're going to go picks, rounds 1 through 7 for the Bears. We're going to come to a consensus pick for each round. And here we are right now. It's happening.
It's going to happen, isn't it? Oh, no, never mind.
Devonta Smith went to
all right.
See that. Tevin Jenkins to the Raiders at 17. Oh, no. There goes Rashad Bateman to the Dolphins. Caleb Farley to the Washington Football Team. So here we are at 20. The Bears here at 20. And this is an interesting spot, guys. I hate this.
I kind of hate all of these.
Yeah.
I hate all of this. Anything here.
Man, I'm not going to lie to you guys. This is exactly how I expect the Bears to be sitting at 20 if they don't trade up.
This is a terrible board.
Exactly how it's going to go. So, here's the thing. It's a terrible board if you're the Bears, but there are some good players left on that board. So,
good point.
So just for a little bit, we are not in a position to. You're going to see that little trade button in the top right-hand corner. We are our bankroll doesn't allow for us to do that. We're working on getting the accounting department to figure that out. But so we are not in a position to trade. I think if you're in this situation, you probably are trading back, right?
100%.
Yes.
This is exactly why I brought up trading down earlier, a podcast ago, like we were talking about it. This is exactly, if they don't trade up, this is exactly where I think the Bears will be. Guys like Jalen Phillips, Zaven Collins, it's a great draft if you need guys like this. You know what I mean? Like playmakers on defense that could kind of, be a franchise player if they pan out. But if we had the ability to do it, I would be all in for trading down. What do you guys think?
Yeah, you have to be. I mean, this is a situation where I've been eyeing Rashad Bateman, okay? That's the name that I've been eyeing there at 20. And I think a lot of people have. A lot of Bears fans have, because I think that's one of the largest positions of need. We did a simulation before this, and Devonta Smith fell to 20. It's possible one of those guys could fall there, but it's also possible teams go away from position of need and they go best player available, and Rashad Bateman and Devonta Smith and Caleb Farley, and those guys get taken. J.C. Horn, all those guys get taken. Then you're left with the situation which we are in right now, where you have nothing but, defensive players, which for the Bears is not a position of need, and you could go best player available, but why not trade back, then get a position of need and a high caliber player and pick Ryan Pace is traditionally extremely successful. So you have to keep that on the board. Right now, guys, everything is on the board for the Bears at 20. They could trade up. There's a good chance of that happening. And we're not just talking about a quarterback. If Devonta Smith falls to 15, the Bears are going to be on the phone with the Patriots, I believe. If one of those guys they really like falls, Ace could trade up for a player that's not a quarterback. He's done it in the past. Ed Hogue brought that up last year. I could see it happening, trade up, trade back. But in this particular situation, if your top guys in Bateman, Farley, Newsome, J.C. Horn, Devonta Smith, those main players of need there at the wide receiver and cornerback position are not there at 20, and you're left with linebackers like Zevin Collins, Jeremiah, I'm not going to pronounce his last name, from Notre Dame, you trade back 100%.
Yeah. Jake?
Yeah, I mean, I do wish we had that ability, but obviously we don't. I mean, the thing is, let's not act like the Bears don't have needs here. Like, linebacker is going to be a need. Danny Trevathan, you cannot rely on him for another year. I mean, he's getting another year older. He's going to be even more of a liability. So while this isn't the most ideal situation, if it were to play out like this, you still, like you guys were saying, there's some good value to be had here where you could get a very good player. So, yeah, I mean, Collins was great. I was just going to say that, like, Collins would probably be the pick. I mean, I would lean Collins in this situation.
Me too. I mean, I think that's where I'm going right now. You look at a guy who can be paired well with Roquan Smith. Justin's got the clicker over the screen. We're almost going to do it. I think we're in. But Chris, what do you got? Are you in on Zayvon Collins, or are you going somewhere else?
I'm going JOK out of Notre Dame.
Wow.
I think he's slightly better than Zayvon Collins. In my opinion, JOK reminds me of what people thought Isaiah Simmons was going to be as a prospect. And don't get me wrong, Isaiah Simmons could still pan out. Like, he could still be, turn out to be a great player, but, his rookie year was a bit shaky. But Jeremiah Owusu-Karamoah is kind of a similar type of player. He's like that. I don't want to call him a tweener, but he's very quick and fast for his size as a linebacker. And he's a playmaker. I'm going JOK personally, but majority rules, so I'm cool with Collins.
I think you might have won me over with JOK. So, Jake, this is why we do this. I'm good with JOK there.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, if you go JOK, obviously he has the bigger school reputation, and Notre Dame was a playoff team. But I don't have a particular lean between either of these two guys. So I'll go with the majority. Go JOK. I mean, I'll go with the majority there.
Great. Like,
I mean,
I wouldn't even be opposed to, like, staying at 20 and taking him. Like, honestly, like, I think he's that good. I really do. I mean, you look at that 216 as a linebacker. Like, the dude, he's a stud. He can move really well. So I like that pick.
It's just frustrating. I think it's frustrating if you're thrust into this position, though, because it's again, how long are we going to play the game where stellar defense is going to carry us to the playoffs? How long are we going to play the game where we're going to shore up a position where, is it a need in the future? Yes, but is it a need now? No, it's not. Danny Trevathan can hold up for this year, and we know Josh Woods is capable of being sort of a depth guy. So it's like you want to go out, you want to be in a position where you can either get a wide receiver, an offensive tackle, or an offensive skill player there at 20. That's just not the case here. That's why I think trading back is still a likely option, although we can't do it here. You could go back to 29 or 30 and get a Kadarius Toney and get a Rondell Moore and get assets in the 4th round. So hit the draft button there. We're going with Jeremiah Owusu. What's his last? How do you pronounce it?
Jeremiah.
Okay. Karamoah. So
I think Justin dropped it in the chat that, are we really going to draft a guy who's a backup? I wouldn't say Danny Trevathan's a lock to start over someone you're going to pick this high. I would say that, if you're drafting this kid, that's what you're going for. It's going to be, you're not expecting Danny Trevathan to be the guy that is going to start for you and, keep you from starting someone you spend the 20th pick on. And there we go. Yeah. All right. It started.
He's a Bear. Let's do it.
You love to see it.
Wow. Greg Newsome at 21. Like, geez.
So, okay. There's going to be people that are going to be mad about that. I feel like there's going to be, in that, because that was going to be my other lean there, Newsome or another corner. So I just feel like if you get a linebacker, I feel like you can survive with Jalen Johnson at the number one corner and the other guys you have in that room. Danny Trevathan is going to be, I feel like he would be a bigger need as opposed to having corner. I feel like your corners you can survive with. Danny Trevathan's got to get out of there in that spot, in that scenario. Obviously, that
you've got more depth at the position, I think is what you're trying to say. Like, you may not have established players at the cornerback position, but you have promising players in Kindle Vildor, in some of these other guys that pick, like an Artie Burns. Like, obviously, that's a guy who doesn't, they have more depth. So, but again, that's what's frustrating. Like, we necessarily shouldn't be talking about a depth game there at 20. I mean, obviously, sometimes you're forced to do that, but it's just frustrating. But that's the way it shakes out, and it very well could shake out that way. You never know.
Like, me and Kevin were talking about this earlier, actually, this morning. Like, I don't see why people would be mad at drafting a linebacker. But the thing is, I know there will be people mad, and I know why. But here's the thing: like, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna reach for a player you don't think is that good just because you need that position? Like, you're not gonna. No smart team does that. They just not smart.
Especially in that situation. If all the offensive tackles are gone, if all the quarterbacks are gone, if all the wide receivers are gone, like you said, don't reach for someone. Yeah, I mean, who are you going to reach for? Take the best player in that situation. And obviously, in that situation, you'd look at trading down, but we don't. We're not Ryan Pace, so we don't. And maybe he wouldn't trade down. Maybe it would be if you love one of those defensive players enough, you have a good unit. You're going to argue against making that unit better.
Yeah,
it's fair.
Yeah, that's why. Like, I mean, JOK, he might come in as a depth piece per se, but he's not ending the season as a depth piece if that move did happen. So I'd be ecstatic with JOK.
Right. Yeah, I mean, those defensive players are good.
Do we have round 2? I think we have round 2, pick 53 up on the board. Let's see who is available, who it shakes out to be. Okay. So Bears at pick 53. Let's list who's available here. We have Travis Etienne, running back Clemson, Javonte Williams, running back North Carolina, wide receiver Terrace Marshall Jr., LSU, wide receiver Rondell Moore, Purdue, Wyatt Davis, interior offensive lineman, Ohio State, and we got a few other guys, Amari Rogers. So here, I notice wide receiver heavy. If I had to make my pick right now, I'm going Rondell Moore over Terrace Marshall. Who has objections?
Nope.
Could we just take a look at what cornerbacks are available?
Yeah, so I think if you scroll up, you can go by position.
Yeah, right there. There we go. Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm definitely taking a wideout. If we can just go back to the wideout, please, Justin. You are a beast.
I'm with Kevin. I'm going Rondell Moore here. The man, everything he tested in his pro day and in like everything, absolute freak of nature. He's been doing it against Big Ten competition. I think Moore is the pick here, especially in the likely event that you lose Allen Robinson after this year. You got to start, and who is going to be mad at Allen Robinson, Darnell Mooney, and Rondell Moore for this year? We can be mad.
No. You talk about Ryan Pace finding first-round players in the second round. This is another example. I think Rondell Moore is a first-round talent, but you look at a stacked draft class with guys like Devonta Smith, Jalen Waddle, Elijah Moore, Rashad Bateman. Like, he's just not going to go in the first round, but you get a first-round caliber talent in the second round there.
Yeah. No, Rondell Moore, the dude's – I mean, he's lightning. He's lightning. That's when he has the ball in his hands. It's ridiculous. Like, I don't know how many prospects I've seen do what Rondell Moore has done with the ball in his hands. Like the dude's ridiculous. Now, with the whole Allen Robinson thing, wouldn't you say you would kind of need more of an X receiver, someone like maybe Terrace Marshall Jr.? But if you're talking about, in a vacuum, I think Rondell Moore probably would be the pick.
So you're saying they would look for the X, sort of thinking about the situation of of Allen Robinson's future as more of a replacement for him?
Yeah, but not just that. Like, even like I said, like in a vacuum, Terrace Marshall's a great prospect. Yeah. Either way, I don't think you could go wrong. But I'm okay with Rondell Moore. We took JOK because I was the devil's advocate last time, so let's not do that again. Let's just go with Rondell Moore. Like, this dude.
The thing with Moore is that when he posted that vertical,
Yeah.
And he cleared the entire, like, that was insane. And he's not the tallest dude either. So for him to get that high up, it's crazy.
Yeah. And look, first 2 picks, if it were to go, if the Bears were to draft exactly how we're drafting, it would be JOK, Rondell Moore. What do those guys both have in common? They're athletic freaks, freaks. And, I don't think you can go wrong with that type of prospect.
And also, let's not undersell the fact that you're taking 2 guys from 2 like high level Power 5 schools. Like, you're not taking someone from North Carolina or D2 or D3 schools. Like, you're taking right. It's like it works out like 2 because they have the pedigree. You've seen them doing. So yeah, hit it, Justin. Hit that draft button. Yeah, Rondell Moore. Like,
and real quick. So real quick, he scored a 99 overall in the Next Gen Stats athleticism score. There was only a handful of players that scored a 99 overall. That's pretty awesome. But I just want to real quick, while we're waiting here for the next pick to come up, talk wide receiver. Okay, let's go back to the first round as well. I would go as far to say that that's the biggest position of need for the team at the moment. I think that is who I think regardless in the first 2 rounds, they find a wide receiver. Unless it shakes out some crazy way where it's just not possible. The class is too loaded where I think somebody's going to be available, even if it is Terrace Marshall, even if it is Elijah Moore, somehow it's available that late as well, they got to go after it. But going back to the first round, I've said this before, and we weren't able to do this because of the situation. I think if a guy like Devonta Smith falls, which I think is possible because 166 pounds is a figure that scares people. And if 4 teams pass on him, 4 wide receiver needy teams pass on him, it tells GMs something. It tells GMs that other GMs are thinking something. What do they know? These people have conversations on the phone. You guys ever seen that movie Draft Day with Kevin Costner? No. They're on the phone saying, why don't you? That's a great movie. You got to watch it.
Why would I watch a movie? It's a terrible concept of a movie.
Oh, fantastic. Anyway,
why would I want to watch a movie about the Cleveland Browns?
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. But anyway, they're on the phone talking about.
We have a podcast about the Chicago Bears, dude.
Sorry. Well, then tell them to make a Bears draft day movie. Okay. Jeez, it's not my fault. But yeah, I think trading up for a wide receiver is possible. I really do. That's just all I want to say because to me, that's the biggest position of need. I mean, that's what you got to go after.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
Hold on. What? Wide receiver is the biggest position of need?
I don't know, dude. Look,
I think we're missing a big one.
Look, I know we think quarterback, are you thinking quarterback or cornerback?
I'm thinking quarterback. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're not thinking. Okay, in the assumption that all 5 guys get taken before pick number 10, which I think is about a 90% chance of happening, we're not going to be able to do that. So unless they do trade up to number 4 or number 8, which I don't think is going to happen realistically, is it possible? Maybe. Is it going to happen realistically? No. Then they're going to be forced to take either a cornerback or a wide receiver. And I always go as far to say that the wide receiver is more of a position of need because we talk about what this team needs, put it in a vacuum, don't position more help. Offense, defense. It's simply that it's that simple for me. And in that case, it's the offense. Go get the skill player and Rondell Moore or whoever it is in the first round.
Well, I just want to bring something up. I agree that wide receiver is a huge need, but my whole thinking with this is that the wide receiver class is so deep that that's probably the position you can wait on. That's like what I'm going into. Like if you find value at corner or offensive tackle earlier, I think you go there and then kind of let wide receiver fall to you. If that makes sense.
Good point.
That's like kind of how I'm going about it. But then again, like with that being said, I would not be mad if they went wide receiver early because you talk about the type of prospects that are in this draft. Like, you know what I mean? Especially if a guy slips, like you were talking about, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle. I mean, I don't think Jamar Chase will slip, but Jamar Chase, you know what I mean? So I don't know. It's interesting. There's a lot of ways the Bears could go, but I think the smartest way would be just to hold off on wide receiver at least for one round, at least for the first round, and just see who's there and then play it that way.
Before we go to the third round, because we are on the board there, I want to talk about this question. Do you think it's possible we offer something to get into the quarterback range in this draft, meaning the first round, that 4 to 8 range? I absolutely think it is. I think that obviously Lawrence and Wilson go 1, 2, and then whoever goes third.
Fields goes 3. I'm at the point where I'm guaranteed on that. But anyway, go on.
Okay.
That changes your thoughts on that because you can trade up for a guy like Fields, but I'm at the point where they're trading up for either Lance or Jones, and that's the only two options.
Adam Hogue was on the show last week saying that Lance would be his choice, would be his guy to trade up to 4.
Right.
So I think that you start making calls at Atlanta at 4 if Fields or Lance are there, and if you're the Bears and you love them, just make the call and see what they want, see who else they're hearing from, see what their price point is. And then in the case that they pass or they trade to someone else, I mean, if Lance is still there or if Fields is still there at 8, 9, 10, make those calls to the Cowboys and to the Broncos and to the Lions. See, you got to make the calls at least and see what the talking point is, what the price point is, and then go for there. So yeah, I think it's absolutely there. Do I think they're going to offer a Russell Wilson-like haul for a rookie quarterback, for an inexperienced quarterback? No, I do not think that is going to happen. But I do think it could be, this first, this second, and then a future first and second, something, you know what I mean? Like, depending on where you're trying to trade into, of course, and who else you're bidding against. But yeah, I think it's absolutely a possibility, but I digress.
Yeah, I mean, Hogue said it last week. He's like, I don't know why anyone would be surprised. Like, so yeah, I think it is a possibility.
Well, he made it sound like to expect it even. So
yes.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see what happens next week, obviously. But all right, getting to the third round pick for the Bears, number 83. I think we have to do it here. I'll start off. You got to take a quarterback here, Justin. If you could please bring up the quarterback still available at this point in this draft.
Is he there? Okay, so here we go. Well, who is he? Because he is Kellen Mond, if I'm being honest.
Yeah,
it's not.
Mine is Mills.
Okay, so just for context, Davis Mills, Kellen Mond, and Kyle Trask are all available here for the Bears at 83 in our little simulation. I like Kellen Mond for a number of reasons. Number one, look, they both are developmental. Obviously, that's what happens when you take a guy in the third round. But Kellen Mond he's an athlete. He's more of an athlete than Davis Mills is, arguably. He's got a rocket arm. He kind of reminds me of Dak Prescott in some ways. That would be my player comp for him. And you look at similarities in the rounds that they were taking. He was taken in the 4th round, Mond in the 3rd round. Have him sit behind Dalton, but in a situation where Dalton goes down, the dude's old, Mond walks in, and boom, you're putting your potential future quarterback right into the mix. And I think he's a guy who I would be kind of excited for. So Chris, I'm going Mond, Jake going Mills. Where are you at?
He's going to say it.
Kyle Trask.
I do it.
Cancel the podcast, bro. Stop it. No,
I know you don't like him, Kevin. I know you don't.
No one should like him.
But listen, he's done it before. And out of these guys right now, I like you're picking a quarterback. Go look at the history of drafting a quarterback in the 2nd or 3rd round, and just tell me how that's turned out for teams. It just doesn't work out. These guys aren't, they're nobody.
Why? Okay.
Listen,
Chris,
and that's if we're drafting a quarterback in the 3rd round, I'm taking Kyle Trask. Like, he's done it before. I don't know. I just don't say this.
Let me say this in defense of Chris. I don't understand the entire hate for Kyle Trask. I get why people are scared of drafting him. I don't I get why people don't want to take him in the 1st or 2nd round. Totally get that.
Yeah.
He was a Heisman finalist for a reason. Granted, he played with Kyle Pitts and he had some really, really nice guys to throw to. So did Mac Jones. I mean, I would still probably like Mills over Trask, but I would like Trask over Mond.
Guys, okay, I know the whole thing about Kyle Trask. He's not mobile. That's fine. We've established that. But guys, he's made some good throws. I've seen him make some really nice throws where I'm like, whoa. Like, to me, I don't see that big of a difference. And look, like, this is gonna sound crazy. I don't see that big of a difference between Trask and Mac Jones. Personally, I mean, if I had to say, Mac Jones probably a little bit better. He makes more throws, but I think Kyle Trask in the 3rd round is not terrible. But I'm not taking a quarterback until later. That's me.
Really?
Yeah, that's me. I'm all in on Dalton, not because he's good, but I've explained it a numerous amount of times. I'm not gonna again, but. I'm not taking a quarterback until later and just have that guy be a developmental type guy, and that's it. There's so much talent in this draft. I'm trying. this draft for me is about setting up the future, not about this year.
Okay, so I will say to that point, Chris, that if they did wait, the guy who's on the board right now, you see him right now, Jamie Newman. I wouldn't hate taking him in like the 5th, 6th, whenever, like later. I've heard people say some really, really good things about him. Yeah. And I read a Kevin Fishbane or somebody wrote something on him in a mock draft that I liked, and then I looked into it a little bit more. So I get where you're coming from. I just think that if we're going from a likely scenario, what's more likely to happen, knowing that he's kind of got to save his job here, and kind of knowing that he's got a lot to go for, he's going to go for Ian Book. Ian Book's not going to be taken in the 3rd round. He's 404th ranked here.
That's pretty bad.
I was gonna say that seems low. Like, I know people aren't high on him, but that seems low. Anyway, back to the 3rd round. Okay, so Chris, you would pass here, so you would choose to go for Justin. Can we get the big board, the whole board?
Yeah.
But okay, so that's interesting. So I would say Mills, and Kevin would say Mon. So who would you pick out of this group, Chris? Like, where are you going?
Could we just scroll down just a little bit more? Oh, Paulson Adebo's here. Oh, that's a no-brainer for me. No-brainer.
Okay.
This was a guy that
cornerback Stanford.
Yeah, he was highly touted. Coming into Stanford, and coming into this last season, there was so much talk about, like, he was projected to be a 1st-round pick, and for good reason. Like, the dude, I've seen him play a lot more in zone. So I don't know if that's the reason why he's dropped so much. Mm-hmm. He doesn't excel in press, but you know what I mean? Like, this guy, he's a ball hawk. That's what Paulson Adebo does. He's a ball hawk. He reads the game. He's smart. He always knows where to be. So yeah, Paulson Adebo for me, but I know people will be furious if we don't take a quarterback. So let's take a
let me just real quick.
Kevin,
I want to go back. I have a fan. Hey, Ryan. I want to go back to the Trask thing, because I'm not over this, because this is the ideology that you have to consider when you're drafting a quarterback in the late rounds.
Kevin,
in their situation.
Before you get into this, did you meet Kyle Trask one time and he like open hand slapped you, or like what?
Yeah,
what happened?
We got into a bar fight.
Just an uppercut.
This
right
is
there.
he's boring. I have no. What's his ceiling is lower than Andy Dalton's is. Look, I don't.
This is if you're the Chicago Bears.
Okay, you like Nick Foles? You like Nick Foles? You like Andy Dalton? You're getting a younger Andy Dalton who's probably going to be worse than him. So if you're thrilled by that, go ahead and draft Kyle Trask. But I don't know why you would be. You have to, at this point of the draft. This guy's not going to start this year most likely. Draft the guy with a little bit of upside and take more of a little bit of a risk. Chris says he's done it before. Okay, that's just what we've done the past 40 years drafting players, is playing it safe. And playing it safe for the guy like Kyle Trask just because he has statistics.
I was going to say, was Mitch Trubisky?
If anything, Mitch was the safe guy for them, because he was the – yes, he was the safe guy. He was the safe guy. People – yeah, but everyone he had the projectables, he had the height, he had the weight. Most people had him ranked as number 1 quarterback.
Mitch Trubisky was purely an upside play. That's what it was. He didn't get the upside from.
He was safer over Deshaun Watson.
You can make that argument, and that's why it's skewed. That's why the argument's skewed. Because listen. Deshaun Watson had, like, people were, look, on paper. People liked what Mitch had from a floor standpoint. I think from people just said, okay, he can do the right things. He's got the perfect quarterback body. He's got everything you want. He's the exact projectable guy you want at the quarterback position. That's what everybody said about him coming into the 2017 draft. He is your prototypical 1st-round quarterback. He was, okay, from a pure size standpoint, from an athleticism standpoint, just from a pure quarterback standpoint. That's what people wanted, and that's why a majority of people had him ranked as the number 1 quarterback. Okay, and people forget that. So back to the point. We're not going to talk about 2017 anymore.
I think the offense. Wait, bring that comment back up again. I think the comment was like, I think the offense didn't work with him. Really, what gave it away? That's a very astute projecting by you.
Anyway, you get nothing out of Kyle Trask. You get promise out of Mills and Mond. That's where I'm coming from.
And I like you. Obviously, I'm on a show with you, but to say Mitch Trubisky was the safer play than Deshaun Watson is possibly the most outrageous.
I understand what you're saying. But you think about it. If they were sitting there at 3, they for some reason thought it was more of a risk to take Deshaun Watson for a number of reasons because he had played, injuries and all of that. Like people just saw what Mitch had on paper. They liked the projectables, they liked the size. He's a prototypical quarterback, and he was the safe guy to take. And people didn't want to take that flyer on Watson, and that's why he fell a little bit too. So that's where I'm coming from, but that's irrelevant to the point here. But it's just, look, I'm at the point where you have to take a guy with a little bit of upside, a little bit of promise, and I don't care if he's a little bit of a risk. I don't care if Mond has an awkward throwing motion. I don't care if Davis Mills doesn't have the greatest college pedigree. These are guys who have a little bit of talent, who have athleticism, and who can bring something to the table and provide you with a higher ceiling than Kyle Trask. Because drafting Kyle Trask gives you the same old Chicago Bears formula of average quarterback play and phenomenal defense that we know is not conducive to a winning season. So that's where I'm at. To save ourselves from more debate, I'm fine with going with Paulson Adebo. I think that's a great pick, but there are going to be people who are going to clamor for the quarterback at that point, and that's why we're having that conversation. So go Paulson Adebo. Just
no. Hang on. I do want to say the fact that we drafted JOK and Rondell Moore in the first round, I think we got great value on both of those picks. Like
I would agree.
Value.
I would agree with that.
So in that case, I wouldn't mind a quarterback here. Like, all things considered. So let's go quarterback because
I say Mills.
Mills?
I'm fine with Mills. I'm fine with Mills.
I like Mills over Mond, just the cleaner throwing motion. Like he scares me a little bit less. Like Mond, I know he's a little more projectable and he might be a little more of an athlete, but Mills I know we just talked about the safe play. Mills still has upside and he doesn't, I don't feel like you have to rework his mechanics.
Yeah, that's probably fair. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
We have a quarterback.
Right, Bears fans, are you guys happy? We drafted the quarterback for you guys. All right. So now no more talk about quarterback for the rest of this draft.
That's the simulation.
Let's just take only quarterbacks for the rest of the way. Let's just go
I used to joke on Twitter that the Bears should take a quarterback in every round because there's because
you know why though? You know why that's held? Remember when Ryan Pace used to say, "Oh, we're going to take a quarterback every single draft"?
Mm-hmm.
What happened to that? I mean, I know you took your guy with number 2, so that kind of changed things. But when it was clear that Mitch wasn't working out, what happened to that thinking? Why was David Fales the only guy we've taken in the only young guy? Like why is it David Fales and Mitch Trubisky is the last 2 quarterbacks who've been drafted? Like what? Man. How did that happen?
Yeah, I don't know. Like I don't know if it was. Like, could you say it was gamesmanship? I don't know.
In what sense?
I don't know. Like, I don't know. Just kind of hinting at your draft strategy per se. I don't know.
His initial statement about that you think was gamesmanship?
I don't know. I don't know.
Nah, maybe.
I'm maybe giving him the benefit of the doubt, but it's
things change.
It doesn't. That was my next thing. Like maybe he just literally just changed his mind. So who knows?
Sure. Yeah, I mean things change obviously once. Also, I would like to say this stretch that we're going through here, and we're riffing because we have. I mean, there's what between the picks, like 30-something picks, 40-something.
More than that, because they go from 3 to 5.
Yeah, it's a long. It's like 50 picks or something. I think this is going to be a prime spot. I think this is going to be a prime spot for Ryan Pace to trade up.
100%. I have it in my mock. I have them going into the round, and I actually had them going after cornerback Benjamin St. Juste. Keep that name in your mind for Minnesota. The guy's a phenomenal cornerback. Showed out at the Senior Bowl. Really physical, stand out in a 1v1 there at the Senior Bowl. He reminds me of Jalen Johnson with his physicality at the line and his pass breakup potential. But look, if there's one thing we can tell you about this draft and one thing we can assure you, it's Ryan Pace is going to trade either up or down at one point. He's done it every single year as GM. I think 3 or 4 years he's done it multiple times, more than twice or more. It is going to happen, and that slot 3 to 5 is a particularly interesting range because why they have 4-6 picks. Ryan Pace, I'm sure Ryan Pace has been scheming all offseason and last year to collect these 6-round picks that he can use as ammo to move up. That's 4 6-round picks is a lot. You're not getting much out of drafting 4 6-round players. You're going to use at least one of those to get back into the 4th round, maybe 2 of them.
Or you trade down from 20 if the Bears find themselves in the spot that we found ourselves in, you acquire a 4th round pick, that way you don't have to trade up.
Yes, good point. Yep,
but
very possible.
We're just spitballing here, so.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and look at the players that have been found by Ryan Pace in those rounds. I mean, you look at Eddie Jackson, obviously being the prime example there, but Justin Miller, baby, woo! Illinois love. Yeah. I know Kendrick Green's not on the board anymore either, so he went somewhere in here. But all right, we got some options here. And
so pick 164. Pick 164. We've taken a wide receiver, a quarterback, and a linebacker. So let's see who's available.
If we want to just talk about positions we should look for, I mean, it has to be offensive.
It has to be offense. Yeah. It has to be. It has to be.
Tackle.
I thought when it was up and it was running, I saw Kendrick Green starting to fall, and I got a little hopeful. But at that point, like if you get to that, wherever it was, like I mean, he's projected to be like a 3rd round pick. If he's in the 4th or the late 3rd, I think that's where Ryan Pace will try to trade up and get him.
Yeah.
Green?
You're just talking about Green?
Yeah, talking about Kendrick Green. Like if he slides like it was showing as we were like when it was up for a second. I mean, I think that's a perfect type of player that Ryan Pace would be, like a big physical type of guy that Ryan Pace would be like, all right, and it's a position of need. Like it helps,
Yeah.
And we just keep rolling with the Big Ten train. Just then we'd have to get an Arizona State guy, so then we could complete the trifecta.
Yeah, I do have a guy in mind for later. So,
jeez. All right, where are we at here?
All right, let's take a look here at 164. Justin, let's take a look at who's available offensive line. Let's see who we've got there. Yeah, we'll go tackle. Okay, this isn't great. This isn't great.
We waited.
Next best guy. We waited. But I don't know, Chris, because you said earlier about 20 minutes ago that the reason why we took some of those guys early as we did is because you were going for the best player available, and you were going, with a guy who can strengthen your roster instead of reaching for a player who is just a position of need. I wouldn't necessarily say that's a bad thing that we waited too long, but I don't know if we can go there with who's available right now.
No. It's not even worth it. It's really not. Like at this point, I mean, Tommy Kramer is okay. Drake Jackson, but these guys are interior guys.
And these are guys you could probably get in this. You maybe get in the 6th round.
Undrafted
7. Maybe. So here we're in a tough spot. All right. So we're in a tough spot. Can we see wide receiver? Can we see wide receiver?
You want to go another one?
I know we already took one. Okay, here's my guy. He's there. My guy is there. Shai Smith. That is my guy, Chris.
That's your guy too? That's my
guy. That's my guy. Let's talk about him, Chris. Dude is an athlete, absolute phenom after the catch. 4.43 40-yard dash, 186 pounds. This guy he's similar to Rondell Moore in a sense about what they can do after the catch and what they can do when the ball is in their hands. So maybe it wouldn't be the most logical to pick 2 guys who are kind of similar. He kind of plays in the slot. He can play outside. I love Shai Smith from South Carolina. But I don't know, given what we've already done, if it's the smartest thing to do.
Yeah. I mean, this guy's catch radius is crazy. Like he made a one-handed catch this past season. I don't know if you guys remember. I don't even remember who it was against. I just remember him he caught it for a touchdown. He literally jumped and just caught the ball, like just palmed it and just came down with it. It was ridiculous. He's a pretty good route runner. And yeah, I mean, like I think you could make the argument of him probably being best player available here. But Justin, real quick, are we sure we want to take a wide receiver?
I'm not. I would rather
just
go
throw it
DB.
out there.
Okay, if we could just see the entire board.
I'm inclined to think safety here because
I was going to say that too.
Some news, some Bears news that we didn't get a chance to really talk about yet was Tayshaun Gibson's coming back on a 1-year deal. I'm fine with that. I think he's a good compliment to Eddie. I think it works. But Tayshaun Gibson is also he's been around. He's not exactly the youngest guy. He's not going to be around forever. He's probably not even going to be around for the next 2+ years. I mean, you could maybe get this year and maybe another year out of him if he's even good enough to warrant another contract after this year. So I think you got to bring another safety in there. I think you got to bring someone in to be a young guy next to Eddie Jackson. You can't keep neglecting this position and keep getting these stopgap type of guys to plug in next to Eddie Jackson. So I think Wiggins might be the play here. I mean, Cincinnati has been a surprise team. I don't know if it's just a matter of the coaching, and because they have excellent coaching at Cincinnati right now. But I think that, again, Power 5, someone who has done it. And again, I mean, LeCount's there from Georgia, but give me the playoff team in Cincinnati. I mean, I don't know too much about Wiggins off the top of my head, but just looking at this board, I think that's somewhere you got to take. I think you got to take a safety because you can't keep neglecting that position.
I kind of like LeCount more here, but I think safety would make some sense. But this kind of sucks because the ASU player I wanted to draft was a safety, so that dream is dead. But I like LeCount here.
So here's the issue, though. So they re-signed DeAndre Houston-Carson.
He's a special teams guy.
I know, but he's a depth player. Deion Bush is there, and from our the endorsement from Clifton Duck, that guy's been waiting for an opportunity. This isn't really a position group where I think you're looking at a guy who you need right now, maybe in 4 years or 3 years. But if let's say Gibson goes next year, okay, he's gone. They don't fill it up. They say we roll with Deion Bush, or they roll with a different guy. They're going to roll with Deion Bush over Wiggins most likely because that guy's been there. I still think, look, Anthony Miller, I don't think is going to be a Bear at the start of the season, okay? And we still talk about Allen Robinson leaving. Javon Wims is not going to be here. Riley Ridley can't read the playbook. I mean, there's issues. I think I'm in on Shea Smith. Okay, I'm in on Shea Smith. That's the pick that I would make here. Again, I'm still going offense. I still think you need to find offensive skill players, and you dream of an offense. This Shea Smith is a Darnell Mooney type player where he can come in and make an impact year one. So think of an offense all of a sudden where you have Allen Robinson, an angry Allen Robinson, an evolving Darnell Mooney, a first-round talent of Rondell Moore, then Shea Smith in there. I mean, that starts to become a very versatile offense. So that would be my pick. And I don't know if you guys are still thinking safety, but I'm going Shea Smith.
I'm okay with either safety or wide receiver. In terms of BPA, though, I think
you think LeCount is more of a BPA than Shea Smith.
Wait, guys, did we forget to take a corner?
No, we already.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say that. We haven't taken one yet.
I think we did. We almost took a Debo, but we didn't.
Oh, yeah, we didn't.
Yeah, we didn't.
I don't know. See,
what? Let's see who's available.
Well, this question then becomes how much do you believe in Kindle Vilder?
Yeah. Give me Bryce Thompson. That's what I believe in Kindle Vilder.
So
okay, but what is Bryce Thompson? Is Bryce Thompson coming in and starting over Kindle Vilder, who was also a fifth rounder, or he was also a fifth rounder?
He was a fifth or sixth.
He wasn't a sixth. I think he was a fifth. Is Bryce Thompson coming in and starting over Kindle Vilder? That's all I'm saying. Like I just they have the depth there. They have I'm blanking on the name. CFL guy got injured. Trey Roberson. I mean, they have veteran players and young players. I'm not as worried about CB as you guys are. That's where I'm at with it, and I think we've identified that. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm just in love with Shea Smith. I'm still going with Shea Smith. That's my pick.
Shoot. I mean, dude, like you have Thomas Graham Jr.'s available. I mean, there are some good corners left still. Shoot, man.
Jake, so you're leading CB, Jake? It seems like you are.
Yeah, I would say, especially if you're taking more in that spot where we did.
Have some damn faith in Duke Shelley. Jesus.
I like Thomas Graham.
No, counterpoint, no.
I like Bryce Thompson. I like
Thompson as well.
I like Marco Wilson. Like all these guys in the fifth round is pretty good value in my opinion. So
I like Thompson too because of the games he put up against high level competition a couple of years ago. And I think especially with Desai, I think that's an opportunity to get the most there. Yeah, I mean I think Thompson's
okay. The pick is Thompson. So let's make this known though. So Thompson gets taken there, and that was before the sixth round. So they still have 4 6-rounders. If they like Shea Smith, they can easily trade back up, pick one of the here's one of the later 6 rounds, and we're right back in there. And Shea Smith still hasn't been taken here, so maybe he shows back up at 204. But we have to keep bringing up that fact that trades are likely going to happen, especially in this range of the draft.
Am I the only one just kind of staring at the draft log, just like as if this stuff is real? And I'm just like, oh, this guy's
it's pretty wild. I mean, but see, like, it's funny because we look at these simulations and we're like, no way, right? But that's what's weird, man. That it happens every year. Like, it's not going to be the most obvious things. Like, people have their assumptions about each player. They like the little things, and it's telling. So we're kind of getting lucky here as we watch the draft roll by. Has Shea Smith been taken?
He went. He's gone.
Well, I hate everything. I hate it.
What team is he on? What team is he on? So Kevin can buy his jersey. His fake jersey.
Seriously.
NFT. This.
He just went to the Niners.
Oh wow, I was wrong.
Okay, so if he falls to 194, I mean, look in my personal mock, I had him going in the 6th round anyway. That's a guy. Listen, Bears fan. That's a guy you for trade up. It's sorry, I'm in love with him. All right, we're coming up on 204. And here we are.
By the end of the day, I think this is what I'm most confident in. By the end of the day, by the end of the draft, the Bears won't have used all four of these 6th round picks. Like, some of these picks will have gone to other teams by the end. There's no way Ryan Pace is going to hold on to all this capital in one round. No shot.
All right, so we know who the pick is here. All right, we pair him up with his teammate Davis Mills, and we go Simi Fehoko, wide receiver from Stanford. What do you like, Chris?
I like Cornell Powell.
Okay. I mean, I could go either of those guys. Tell me why you like Powell more than Fehoko.
I just think he's going to be one of those guys that was kind of what's the word I'm looking for? He spent time at Clemson with a lot of other talented wide receivers, and I don't think he got to really showcase his ability as much. But I think he's a pretty good route runner, and you guys know I love my route runners. That's my thing. Like that's my. If you're open, I think you're going to be successful. That's
worked great with Javon Wims.
Whatever, dude. So yeah, either right here is just take your pick. So I'll leave it up to Jake. But yeah,
I like Powell. I'm with you on Powell now. I'm with you. That was logical. Jake,
I kind of like Fehoko as far as the size stand. I mean, I'm fine with Powell too, because you get that, like you said, he played behind some really, really good players, and he can't help that. It's obviously not his fault. So yeah, I'm fine with that too. But I kind of miss the days of Alshon Jeffrey, just a giant to toss it up to. Like, that's I
wouldn't have crazy. It's funny that you bring that up, because like a guy like Alshon Jeffrey was like, do you remember how much of a big deal he was when we drafted him, in terms of like we were like, okay, like, we have a big wide receiver who like he can come down with anything, and now it's like that type of wide receiver is almost like they get a bad rep because they can't run routes because the league has changed. Like, it's funny how it works, man. It's crazy.
But I'm not mad for the league to evolve that way. If I'm being honest.
Sure.
No, I mean, I think it's just, the way the league trends one way or another is going to help certain positions, hurt other positions. It's just,
Yeah.
All right, we're back. All right. At this point in the draft, you guys do draft deep dives more, so I will cede to you guys on the breakdowns here.
If we could just scroll down a bit. Oh, dude. Jalen Darden, I did not know he was still on the board. That kind of sucks.
Well, why not though? Like, I know. So you're saying that because you feel afraid to take another wide receiver, right? After we just took Cornell Powell.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie to you. In a way, it kind of is silly just because we took. It shouldn't necessarily rule it out if you.
But also, it's the 6th round. Like, if you could get playmakers, like I don't think you should sneeze at that. It's the 6th round. You take your shot on guys with upside.
If that's the case, I'm going Darden. Guys, like, I really don't know why he's considered a day 3 prospect. Like, is it because he went to North Texas? Because that's the only thing I can.
Probably.
Dude's like, he kind of reminds me almost of Darnell Mooney in a way. I think he's a good player, man. I think he's a good player. I don't get why he's like I said here in the 6th round. But man, like this draft is weird. This sim is weird. Like I feel like there are usually more notable players are like left at this stage.
Oh, well, that's because this might not be accounting for as many slides, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I Darden's the pick for me. What do you think, Kevin and Jake?
I'm in on Darden again. You're at a situation where you can't get enough of wide receiver. You simply can't get enough of it. And Darden's that guy who provides upside. And boom, he picked it. Jalen Darden's the pick, North Texas. So that's 3 wide receivers in a draft. It's a lot, but if Anthony Miller is really going to be gone, if Javon Wims is going to be gone, if Riley Ridley should be. Yes, which they should be. And if Riley Ridley is going to continue to not read the playbook or do whatever he's doing, I don't know. Then what? You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? So that's just where I'm at. So I feel no shame in taking 3 wide receivers.
With this pick, I think you just got to go offensive tackle just because we haven't taken one, and you're literally not. You can't call it a reach because we're like, with all due respect, we're not really passing on some top tier prospects. So,
I couldn't tell you which of these guys I like. I mean, I don't know. This is like talking about like
at the end of the day.
I'm taking Cole. I'm taking Cole Van Lanen.
Yeah, I'll always lean to a Wisconsin offensive lineman at the end of the day. Like you really can't go wrong there. Like you could do much worse than that.
I remember Cole. I don't know too much about him. I remember his name being I remember his name kind of being in the mix of things earlier this year. So yeah, I just thought he was the only player I kind of had an idea of what he possesses. So yeah.
I think you got to go edge.
Yeah, I was gonna go edge as well. I mean, you reload with Travis Gibson last year. I don't know if reload's the right word when you're talking about him, but you get a guy like you take a shot with Travis Gibson, and hey, that's a guy with actually a lot of upside. That guy was taken in the 4th round. Sorry, what?
Easy pick. Chris Rumpf.
Tell us why, Chris.
Chris.
Wait, Ernest Brown.
Wait.
Yeah, I think Brown's the automatic here, right?
Wait. Just all right. We have to talk about this really quickly. Chris Rumpf, who's a defensive line coach for the Chicago Bears now?
I don't remember his name.
Yeah.
Okay, well, his dad is the defensive line coach for the Bears.
Oh,
so that's just want to throw that out there. Teron Jackson is a guy that I've been really high on.
It's gonna be Rumpf then, because that's such a Bears thing to do. Just blindly, So lock that in, because that will absolutely happen if that's the way that goes.
I personally like Teron Jackson more. He's been a guy that I literally said this in the past. This edge class is deep. I don't think it's top heavy. So if a guy like Teron Jackson in the 6th, 7th round ends up being the best edge prospect from this class, I would not be surprised. I think Teron Jackson is super slept on. Super slept on.
Wait. Oh man. Best in that class or just in that range?
No. In the if he turns out to be the best in this class, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't. He was productive as hell. I mean, he possesses everything you'd want out of an edge prospect. Like there are some prospects I just don't get why they're ranked where they are, like genuinely, and he's one of those guys. Chris Rumpf is another guy that he's undersized a bit, but he's super fast. Think like Leonard Floyd, but obviously not as good of a prospect. But
R.I.P. Oh, hello, that's me. How we doing? How we doing?
Player. So yeah, I don't know. The Bears are gonna screw this up. That's all I can think about. I know they're gonna.
We don't have premium. Does this thing spit a grade at us, or does it yell at us?
Yeah. Where's my grade? Where's our grade?
Go to your user picks. I don't think there's a grade, but user.
I know PFF does the grade. Go to users or down.
Next to all picks. No. Off the yep. Next to all picks. You're right there.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
All right.
This is the draft.
So, quick recap for everybody to see. All right, we got about 5 minutes to break this down or so. All right, we went with JOK out of Notre Dame, linebacker at number 20. Then we went Rondell Moore, and we didn't take a quarterback till the third round with Davis Mills. There was some pushback on that. I think we all agreed that you could theoretically wait there. You could theoretically trade in the first round or trade up in the first round. That, I think, is the biggest question of this draft and will determine what the Bears do over the entire draft, whether they use those extra 6th-round picks and future picks to move up in the first round, whether they use those 6th-round picks to move up into the 4th or 5th round. I don't know. But, I mean, the quarterback, what they do, and I think we can all agree that Ryan Pace knows his job is on the line. He's going to take a quarterback within the first 3 rounds, right?
Chris isn't so sure.
I'd like to believe he won't, but they probably will, man.
It's desperation time. It changes things.
Yeah, it does. I don't know, guys. I'm just so hell-bent on taking the best available talent just so we're not screwed within the next couple of years, just lacking talent. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
Yeah.
I want it to get to a point where we neglect everything else. Like, that's kind of what I'm scared of because of the pushback the fans are giving. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't want it to be like, okay, like, screw everything else. Let's find this quarterback. And you guys get what I'm trying to say?
Right. And then you don't have any supporting talent, and then you're kind of just stuck there.
Yeah. So now you're going to waste the team the other way with the quarterback and no surrounding pieces. Like,
right. I get what you say. So, like, let's say you trade up to 4 to get Lance, but then Allen Robinson walks, and you have Darnell Mooney and Cole Kmet, but that's really it. And everything else is just kind of average, and then you can't do anything with it. I think that's completely fair. I think that's completely fair.
Mm-hmm.
I think that definitely is something to be scared of. So, it's going to be so weird.
Guys, I'm letting you guys know right now, I'm going to be terrified on draft day. Like, every pick that gets announced, I'm just going to be praying it's not a trade up, like the Bears trading up. So
I'm terrified for one player. I'm not a fan of Mac Jones, and I'm terrified they would mortgage the future for him. I mean, I would love to believe they're smarter than that, but you already talked about kind of the environment that they're facing, and Jake talks about the desperation and the desire for the fan base to want a cornerback. And like, these guys have the internet. They saw the kind of pushback they got after getting Andy Dalton. Selecting a quarterback to select a quarterback, it fulfills a little bit it spares some time for them because they selected a quarterback regardless of who it is. And some people are high on Mac Jones. I'm not. But yeah, I'm with you, Chris. I'll be fearful of that. But let's go through the rest of this while we have time. Jake.
Yeah. Okay. So we picked a 4th round, or not 4th round. At 164 went Bryce Thompson, who me and Chris like for his pass play. 204 Cornell Powell, wide receiver. Followed immediately by Jalen Darden, wide receiver, who Chris believes is one of the more talented guys who shouldn't be that low. And then we finish it off with Cole Van Lanen and Chris Rumpf of his father being a member of the Chicago Bears coaching. I mean, that's just like the most that will happen. That is the thing I can be most confident in. They will run to the podium to make that pick if he's available in the 6th round.
I also don't think, by the way, that he'll be there in the 6th round. Like I said, like, he has the tools, and teams always fall in love with tools, so he'll be there. But good player. If the Bears can bring him in, it helps when your dad's your coach too. So
it does. It's gonna be so weird going forward. Like, we have still a week left until the draft.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I mean, we have more things are going to happen. More with the 3rd pick. Nobody seems to know what's going to happen with the 3rd pick going forward. Still, nobody seems to know what is going to happen with the 4th or 8th pick. It's a whole thing. It's a whole mess. But I just know. Okay, so obviously next week we're having an episode right before the draft, and we're going to do some more breakdowns. And hopefully, maybe some things happen with the 3rd pick or with the 4th pick, and we'll have more clarity. Because obviously, these reports are just going to keep flying. We're going to keep hearing stuff from Schefter and Rappaport about what teams are doing, what they're not doing, who liked whose pro day, who didn't, so on and so forth. And you're going to get all these smoke screens. But we'll be back next week to break that down. And then maybe we might do a little something on the day of the 1st round. We might dabble. We might do a little something. Might do a little something there. Yeah. And but no, we'll be here. Next week, more draft breakdowns ahead of the 2021 NFL draft. What the Bears are going to do at quarterback, how they're going to address it, how they're going to address a multitude of positions, unfortunately, is a lot to think about. So we will be back next week to break that down. For myself, for Chris, for Kevin, we appreciate all the listeners, all the commenters. We thank you guys coming through and hanging out with us. Come back next week, same time, same place. For all of us, this has been Bears Nation Podcast. Thank you for listening. And as always, bear down.
Bear down, baby.
Bear down.